Right, here we are. This is the recap session from the UK Tech Days for the SunBurn session. As we had a little trouble there, we thought we'd follow this up with a quick demo just to show this thing fully in action. No smoke and mirrors, exactly the same setup we had before, except this time no troubles. So we got our Sun Game project itself, got a Windows copy of the project which can run to use our editor, and we got the phone project itself, so we'll show when to display on the phone. If I run this up and get it started, we can get building the scene as we did on the actual day. So this running up, I mean, this is a short intro video. It's a case of nothing fancy, not going to heavy projects. There is actually already a full video tutorial session being built on the actual SunBurn gaming site, so well worth looking out. But as I see here, it's telling us the fact I've hit F11 now. I'm going to start up the editor. Most of this should still be familiar to you. So as the editor launches up, we've got the models section over here, and there's a load of other information going around, and then the important thing we've got here is the actual scene. This is what we're going to see in the actual game window, what we displayed in our game as we're doing it. And so you've got the Scene Objects tab, and then you've got the Lights tab. But with any default project you get from SunBurn, in this case of, you get a ambient light, which is just general luminosity around the actual scene, and a single directional light, which they refer to as the sun, just lighting the scene downwards. So let's get this started, and a bit more than I showed you there, I'm actually going to even start off importing the model I actually used in the scene. So here we are, got the model here, load it up. Well, that's building away. A lot of this content, like I said before, is on the SunBurn game site. The samples, intros, good, and lots of different ways of showing you what's in there. So, with that loaded up, here we are, we've got our model. Now, our model itself here, we have a single plane, which is the ground, and we've got a set of cubes, one which is for the actual rear wall of the scene, and one for the actual set of cubes in the middle. I'm going to drag that over. Now, I could, of course, simply have lots of separate models for this, and then simply built this in the editor. But for speed and easiness, I've just actually created this whole scene actually in the actual game editor itself. But it goes to show there's actually no difference where you could do this. Either have your artist or designer simply build you an entire scene, and then you just go and mess around with it, light it, and put what you want in it. Or you can construct it yourself and say, no, I want all these things separate. I want to place all these things around. Again, it depends on the type of game you're going to do. So here we are. There's our scene rendered in the actual view, and our things are in there. So let's get on and actually light this. So switching to the Lights tab, I've got the basic lights that are there, so I can adjust this if I want. So, ooh, look at that, see all the different ways I can light up the scene. Let's leave that about there. And what I'm going to do is actually create a new light group. Now, the groups themselves control different facilities that come with it, but I'm only simply adding a new group here to make it easier to put all these things in. So I'm going to start off with a simple point light, as identified here by the actual light type. I'm going to move it into position. There we go. It's roughly where it was in the actual Reach demo. There, so it's nicely casting shot here, but you'll notice I'm actually even casting a light on here. You might wonder why it's going through solid objects, but it's lighting the scene. So we need to limit the distance that light's actually going to show, so we're only lighting this small portion here. I'm also going to change the light colour to a nice yellow. There we go. Let's increase its intensity. Now, you might wonder, 1 doesn't seem very bright for it, but if you set this up to like 5, it's extremely bright. Not very good for what we're going to do. So I'm going to set this down to about 1.5. There, nice light scene. Now, in the camera and the view in the model, there's probably an easy way of doing this, but the mouse, when you hold the right key, changes the view of the camera, swivels left, swivels right, and then you've got your keyboard keys, the old FPS, WASD keys, to move your position around. There might be an easy way of doing that, but that's how it is. So we're going to add another light in here. And I'm going to throw that exactly the same place on the other side. Okay, again I'll throw our cast distance, setting our colour. Make it a little bit brighter. There we go. Looking good. So in the Reach demo itself, we also had the walls were lit up by their own actual scene lights themselves. So if we go and create another light to this group, and this time instead of a point light, we're going to change it to a different type of light. Now, from the light types here, you can see we've got, again, the ambient light, which is what we use for our general luminosity and seeing the scene. You can have multiple easy ones. You can have multiple colours of the ambient lights to try and really mess around with what you can see. We got the directional lights, what we're using with the sun, but that's more of a general direction. That's all light flooding in one direction. Our point light there is a general thing. What we want is a spotlight. That's exactly the same as it sounds. That is just going to point a light at the scene and light it up. So there we go, nice little white light on there. Let's change the colour to, say, green for this side. Click it on, and there's our all been lit green. Now it's not showing very green because obviously the scene starts on there. So let's try a different colour. Let's try red or purple. So we can see a bit more there, the actual light shining on the surface itself. Try moving this over. There we go. And let's go and add another one on the other side of the scene. So going to be another spotlight. Moving it around. Oops, lost my thing. And you can see building the light up on these things is very simple, very easy. You throw the lights in, you light up your scene, and that's what you got. I'm going to try making this one a bit more, fill a bit more as well. Light on there. I think that one brighter as well. Right, so there is our scene. Thrown in a few basic lights, lit it up, all good. Actually, there's one last thing. I'll throw in one last light, and I'll throw in another directional light. So you can see the fact that on there, I'm actually going to change how the scene's lit. It's being lit up with these two lights, two conflicting lights. We've got light shadows coming from one direction, from this one, and lights going on the other way there. So, good. Right, save all that. Now, as it stands, these are all dynamic lights, so you can't actually see much. What we need to do is change this so we can use it on the phone, and change to actually use light mapping. Now, we have to do this for all the lights in the scene that we want actually mapped, and it will use all the information from these scenes. We can see the lights are really going red on there. So they're actually going to be mapped, and what that's going to do is going to actually generate a whole texture, which is going to build all these lights and just throw it into the texture. Similar to what the dual texture effect does, but obviously from here I can change whatever I want straight out the way. No fussing around, nothing. And if I then go in, whoops. Now I've set on my light, but what I've forgotten to do there is actually set my models to also be light mapped, because obviously not only the lights are sending light out, you also need objects to be able to receive lights. So quickly save that, go and light it, get this nice little relight button here, and there it goes, it's building all these light maps, and there's a nice scene again, all nicely lit up. So we can close the editor, which will bring us back to our actual game editor window, and there we are. So there's my purple light, my red light in the background, my yellow lights lighting up the areas, and I've got a few different shadows there being cast around the scene because of my different directional lights. So we'll close that. I'm going to quickly switch over to the phone, and then exactly as it's in there, and as we should expect to see when we run this now. So I throw it in, I'm going to call up my emulator and let it go. So what we should see here now is that fully lit rendered scene that we saw there. It's all been using a light mapped texture and automatically rendering and generating this on the phone itself straight as it stands. And there we go. And I can go and navigate around this now. So there's my yellow lights, my red on the wall. Obviously, if I spent a bit more time in this, I could do a lot more jazzy effects with my phone. Flying through a model there. There we are. There's all my shadows, all nicely clipped out, more lights, and all centered around. So there you go. That's how easy it is to do with SunBurn. Obviously, with a bit more time, a bit of a training, you can do an even more advanced scene, as you would see in the other videos we've got on the YouTube channel there, showing all the different effects. That time spent is money earned. And obviously, because I've not had to actually do all the calculations working on this, I've not had to go and pester my artist to go and generate all these light maps continually. Everything it is as it should be. So That's us from XNA UK.